Taking another huge leap between generations, we're taking a look at an Arc 5 archetype, that being X-SABERs. An archetype focused on synchro spamming used by the second member of the LDS, Yaiba Toto. And yeah, I really like synchro spamming, I like swordsmanship of many flavors. But anyway, let's get into this archetype. And let's start out with their level 1, X-SABER PALOMURO. When another Saber monster you control is destroyed by a battle and sent to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points to special summon this card from the graveyard. If you're wondering why it says Saber monster, well, that's because X-Sabers are divided into two sub-archetypes. X-Sabers and double X-Sabers. Well, XX-SABERs, well, that's kind of hard to pronounce, so I'll be calling them double X-SABER, so there won't be DD or DDD structure here. But anyway, well, this effect would be decent if it wasn't for that bad restriction. First of all, it needs to be in the graveyard, and you need to pay 500 life points in order to revive him. Yeah, we've actually come across this type of revival before when I talked about Infernities, that being Infernity Avenger, and I didn't diss him that much because Infernities have a lot more graveyard setup than, well, X-Sabers. Well, don't get me wrong, X-Sabers do have a decent graveyard setup, but this ain't Infernity Avenger. First of all, it requires a page of 500 life points for some reason. This could have easily been a once per turn effect if it were when they removed the 500 life point restriction. But yeah, if you want to run it, you want to run it because it's a level 1 tuner, and if you run it at all, it's probably at 1 max. Their next monster is double X-SABER RAGIGURA, or as I like to call him, Rango with a sword. 2 swords to be exact. And when this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 X-SABER monster from your graveyard to your hand. If this was from the deck, and yeah, this would be a much more decent card, but no. Yeah, if you run this as well, you run it at 1 max, because, yeah, we search from the deck. If it was from the deck or graveyard, then it would be run at 3, probably. But as it is now, it's probably best to run it at 1 max if you ever consider running it. And anyway, next up is there another level 1 X-SABER AXEL. Well, you control this face-up card when a Saber monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. Ah yes, because why not? Specific draw effects. Why didn't they make this, if this card was destroyed by battle, draw 1 card? But no, you need to control 2 X-SABER monsters, and this thing needs to be still face up on the field in order to resolve it. This is gonna be ran over super fast because of its massive 400 attack. Yeah, but that isn't that much of a problem because X-Sabers are known for their massive field swarming, which we'll get into later. But and yeah, if you really want to run this, just run it at 1, but you're better off probably running Upstart Goblin or 1 Day of Peace. Their next monsters are first level 2, X-SABER Pashul. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. During each of your opponent's standby phases, you take 1000 damage. You must control this card in face-up defense position to activate and resolve this effect. So yeah, if you want to protect yourself as best as you can, you need to take 1000 damage, and if you want to not take that damage, you need to have this thing in attack mode and take probably more damage as a result. Yeah, if this was 6 years ago, I'd advise running this for stalling, but I don't recommend doing this now. Well, it is a tuner, so there is some qualities in this card, but no, not worth it. Their next monsters are first level 3, and actually quite a famous monster as of now. X-SABER URBELLUM. Well, if this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand. This thing was actually quite frequently ran several years ago, since it was a pretty decent level 3 tuner and it could discard random cards from your opponent's hand, so it was actually a better polemer at that. So yeah, actually, since it's a level 3 with this much attack, I'd say go for it. Run at least 2 of these. Their next monsters are another level 3, which is always ran at 3, that being XX-SABER EMMERSBLADE. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one level 4 or lower X-SABER monster from your deck. See? This is how you make a floating effect. PALOMURO, or RAGIGURA, or AXEL. Well, whatever you want to compare this thing with, this is actually a really nice card, and you always run this at 3 at all times because, yeah, it enables 3 monsters. However, it's probably a bit outdated since this kind of effect can be rather slow nowadays, but still, you run this at 3 because it's one of the key playmakers in swarming the field with the X-Sabers as they're known for. Their next monster is another level 3, that being XX-SABER DARKSOUL. Yeah, uncanny reference there. During the end phase, if this card was sent from your side of the field to the graveyard this turn, you can add one X-SABER monster from your deck to your hand. I mean, it does search your almost your entire archetype. Well, at least I think it can search your entire archetype. Well, anyway, it's incredibly slow, but I mean, it can be used as a discard fodder. Oh no, it has to be from the field. Well, anyway, it's really slow and it has pathetic stats. I mean, if you use it for synchros and then pull off the surge, it can be kind of okay, but yeah, run by preference. Their next monster is another level 3 tuner, that being XX-SABER FULHELMKNIGHT. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and this effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. If this card destroys an opponent's defense position monster by battle, you can target one level 4 or lower X-SABER monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Why? I mean, it has really pathetic stats to be destroying anything in battle. I mean, you can combo it with Curse of Anubis, and that's as far as it goes. But I mean, for a level 3 which can stop attacks, it's actually quite decent, even if it is only limited to once while this is on the field. Still though, it's a decent level 3 tuner, and compared to URBELLUM, it can always be really, it can always serve you in a pinch, so yeah, run at least 2 of these. Their next monster is their first level 4, that being X-SABER GALAHAD. If this card attacks an opponent's monster, this card gains 300 attack during the damage step only. If this card is attacked by an opponent's monster, this card loses 500 attack during the damage step only. When this card is selected as an attack target, you contribute another X-SABER monster to negate the attack. The protection effect works with the intended nature of the field swarming the X-Sabers are known for. But why the hell pull another Steamroid with this card's nerfed effect when he gets attacked? I mean, yeah, it's even actually worse than Steamroid, since he gains 300 attack instead of 500 attack when he attacks. Well, it's sure to be useful as a beater, and that's about it. Yeah, run one if you feel like it. Their next monster is X-SABER Uruz. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you contribute this card to return the destroyed card to the top of its owner's deck. I'm not sure why we want to do this, so I don't know. Avoid this. Their next level 4 is actually one of their best monsters, that being XX-SABER BOGGART Knight, looking suspiciously like Vorse Raider. But anyway, when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower X-SABER monster from your hand. Cannot be used as a synchro material except for a synchro summon of an X-SABER synchro monster. Do I need to explain why you run 3 of these? You can be used for Xyz plays, synchro plays, link monsters. It can be comboed with Kage to Kage. What's not to like? It has, and on top of all that, he has 1900 attack. Like I said before, you always run this at 3. Before we get into their... Oh, sorry, we have another monster. That being XX-SABER GARSEM. When this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard and by a card effect, add one X-SABER monster from your deck to your hand. This card gains 200 attack for each X-SABER monster you control. I have no idea why the attack boosting effect, but I don't know. If it was destroyed by any means, preferably battle, this effect would be a bit more decent, but name me one person who is gonna waste a removal effect on GARSEM. No one? Oh, okay. Well, the only way you're ever going to bait this thing to be destroyed by card effects if it was equipped with something like Moon Mirror Shield or something like that. But yeah. And yeah, and this is what I was trying to tell you before. Before we get into their tribute monsters, they also have a normal monster, that being X-SABER Anu Piranha. Yeah, she could be used as a beat stick, but if you really want beat sticks, you're better off using Galahad at this point. Sorry, lady, but this ain't your time to shine, blondie. And anyway, their first tribute monster is a level 5 XX-SABER Gardestrike. If you have 2 or more X-SABER monsters in your graveyard and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Or, you know, you cannot be a complete idiot and just run Cyber Dragon instead. Seriously, this requires good graveyard setup, and it can be a nasty first turn break if you happen to draw into two or three of them. But yeah, run one if you feel like it. Their next monster is they're also the final main deck monster, that being the level 6 XX-SABER Full Troll. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by controlling 2 or more face-up X-SABER monsters, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can target one level 4 or lower X-SABER monster in your graveyard, special summon this target. You will run this at 3, there's no question about it. It's an archetypal battery man fuel cell, and while now being able to bounce like fuel cell, it's able to recycle your stuff from the graveyard. Wow! And it's really awesome at that, and it has really decent stats. It has 2400 attack, which is a really amazing stat line. So yeah, you always run these at 3 if you want to build a field swarming effect, field swarming build with X-Sabers. Alright, moving on to their synchro monsters, we have their first synchro monster, that being the level 5 X-SABER Wayne. It requires one tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters, so it's completely generic. And when this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower warrior type monster from your hand. So yeah, you always run these at 3 because it's a really simple level 5 which lets you add more field swarming into the mix, and yeah, what's not to like? You can summon more tuners, go into their higher level synchros, or they'll summon more link materials. So yeah, you always run Wayne at 3. Their next monster is their level 6, that being XX-SABER Hyunlei. And it requires one tuner or one or more non-tuner X-SABER monsters, and when this card is synchro summoned, you can select and destroy up to 3 spell or trap cards on the field. So yeah, this is actually a pretty kick-ass effect, no question about it. And yeah, it's basically a somewhat slow version of Trishula or Mistworm, but yeah, it works regardless, and it has tolerable stats for a level 3, for a level 6. God, what am I saying? So yeah, run at least two Hyunleis. Their next monster is their level 7 X-SABER URBELLUM, and it's also completely generic, meaning it requires one tuner or one or more non-tuner monsters. And when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent while they have 4 or more cards in their hand, place one random card from their hand to the top of their deck. No, don't run this, because most modern decks is gonna empty out their hands to below 3 cards in their first turn, and don't even get me started if you play this against Infernities or Dark Worlds. Actually, well, actually it can be used against Dark Worlds since it doesn't discard and places on top of the deck, and it even has even terrible stats for a level 7 at that. Hyunlei is a better option if you're going for beat sticks. So yeah, don't run this. Their next monster is another level 7, that being X-SABER Souza. It has 2500 attack, which is way better than URBELLUM, and requires one tuner, one or more non-tuner X-SABER monsters, and you contribute one X-SABER monster, then choose one of these effects. This card gains that effect until the end of this turn. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, destroy that monster. This card cannot be destroyed by trap effects. I have no idea why only trap effects on this card. The last effect should have been by any card effects, which would be make this card lovely. But yeah, the popping effect is really good at the end of the damage step. So yeah, you run at least 2 of these because it's a really good beater and has tolerable protection, which is limited to trap effects for some goddamn reason. But yeah, the popping effect more than makes up for it. And their final monster is the level 9. Well, this one isn't that bad. That being XX-SABER GOTTOMS. And it's a beast warrior for some imbecilic reason. Don't know why. This doesn't look like a beast warrior to me, nor does Thor. Well, it requires one tuner, one or more earth monsters, and its effect is you contribute one X-SABER monster to discard one random card from your opponent's hand. Mind you, this isn't once per turn. And it has a Gargantua at 3100 attack points, and being able to discard a random card from your opponent's hand, it's a pretty much a death wish if you're playing against Dark Worlds, and it's a wasted card when playing against Infernities. But some other decks which are slower in emptying out their hand can be devastating by this card effect. So yeah, and provided how X-Sabers can swarm the field really good, I should say. Bad is kind of like a slang for good. I don't know. This thing is actually really good. It's their ultimate boss monster, and no, don't be alarmed because of its level 9, which is one of the worst levels in the game. These things can this thing can be really easily summoned. Well, provided you have the setup. Well, yeah, most of the time this thing can be really easily summoned. You summon it with Full Troll or I don't know, URBELLUM or FULHELMKNIGHT. That's your GOTTOMS right there. One of the easiest ways to summoning. But anyway, let's get on to their last monster. That being an Xyz monster, M-X-SABER INVOKER. Requires 2 level 3 monsters, and once per turn you can detach 1 material from this card, special summon 1 level 4 Earth Warrior or Beast Warrior monster from your deck in defense position but destroy it during the end phase. I would say always run 3, but you can't do that because as of recently this card is banned. Yeah, this is the first time actually when we've come across a card that is on the ban list, on the banned side of the ban list. But yeah, the M-X-SABER Invoker was absolutely abused in Noble Knights and some other link-focused spawning decks. So yeah, well, it certainly deserved to be hit because the utility it offered is insane, really. And I'd actually like to see when it returns to 1, whenever that will be. What will nerf it to be able to return it to 1? So yeah, good card. Too bad it's banned. Alright, moving on to their spell and trap lineup, we have their field spell Saber Bolt. Each time a face-up X-SABER monster is on the field, each face-up X-SABER monster on the field gains 100 attack times its level and loses 100 defense times its level. Wow, it's one of the most underwhelming attack boosts in the game. Don't run this. Their next spell card is Saber Reflection, a quick play. When you take battle damage or effect damage while you control an X-SABER, gain life points equal to the damage you took. And if you do, inflict the same amount of damage to your opponent. Then you can add 1 Saber spell or trap or GOTTOMS card from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Saber Reflection once per turn. So yeah, this is actually pretty good. You always run 3 of these because it can search your entire spell and trap lineup. And yeah, if you're wondering what the GOTTOMS thing is, well, there are some X-SABER support cards that have GOTTOMS in the name, but not Saber or X-SABER in the name. So yeah, good card, and it really is a beautiful sight to see since it's a quick play. So yeah, good card. And their next spell card is Saber Slash. Destroy a number of face-up cards on the field equal to the number of face-up attack position X-SABER's monster you control. It's not short circuit, but it might as well be, since your field will be plastered with X-Sabers and your opponent ain't gonna have more than 5 cards on the field most of the time. So yeah, you always run 3 of these, no question about it. Their next spell card is the equip spell Sword of Sparkles. Equip only to an X-Saber monster. If it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can destroy 1 card your opponent controls. You can tribute 1 monster you control to return this card from your graveyard to the top of your deck. Well, this is actually really decent, but it can break sometimes, since you won't always have the preparations needed to activate this. So, but yeah, it's still worth running at least 2 of these. However, the only bad side I can say about this thing is that it's not searchable by the X-Saber Reflection. So yeah. Their next spell card is, and their final spell card is GOTTOMS' Second Call. If you're wondering where his first call is, we'll get to that later because it's a trap card. If you control an X-Saber Synchro monster, you can target 2 X-Saber monsters in your graveyard, special summon both targets, ignoring their summoning conditions, but change their attack to 0. Also destroy them during the end phase of this turn. You can only activate 1 GOTTOMS Second Call per turn, and you cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. Also run 3 because it provides link material, it provides usage for GOTTOMS' effect. What's not to like? Well, yeah, it drains all of their attack, destroys them during the end phase, but you can make really good use of them if you know how to play the game properly before they get destroyed. So yeah, GOTTOMS Second Call, you always run this at 3. And their first trap card is actually the first GOTTOMS call, that being GOTTOMS Emergency Call. If a face-up X-Saber monster if there's a face-up X-Saber monster on the field, target 2 X-Saber monsters in any graveyard, special summon both to your side of the field. Better in a way than the second call because it doesn't destroy them during the end phase. And I'm really flabbergasted at the fact in either player's graveyard, since you could actually run into an X-Saber mirror match. But yeah, you run at least 2 of these because it's much slower because it's a trap. Well, actually, it wouldn't hurt if you run this at 3. Yeah, run this at 3 at all times. Their next trap card is At One with the Sword. Another card that is not searchable by Saber Reflection. Activate while the only monster you control is 1 face-up X-Saber monster. Equip this card to that monster, it gains 800 attack, and if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, draw 1 card. Well, this is much better draw power than freaking AXEL, but yeah, you're not going to be controlling only 1 X-Saber monster. That is kind of a hard task to pull off in the modern game. So yeah, it leaves it at a questionable 1 or 2 when you want to run this. Their next trap card is Saber Hole. Activate only while you control an X-Saber monster. Negate the summon of a monster and destroy it. This is actually pretty decent because not many cards in the game can negate summons of monsters, let alone this easily. So yeah, this is actually a really nice counter, and it can disrupt very huge amount of plays the opponent makes. So yeah, always run at 3. And yeah, that was the last X-Saber card. So yeah, let's get on to the grades. Consistency. Their search power is actually quite limited since they're mostly Earth monsters, and yeah, they don't have access to a lot of third-party search options such as Dark Scorpions do because they're Dark Warriors. But yeah, they have access to Rhoda, which is limited. Yeah, most of them can be searched out by Giant Rat and Warrior Lady of the Wasteland even. So, while it's not terrible, it can certainly be a lot worse. So I'll give it a 2 out of 3 there. Now, power is absolutely beautiful. I mean, since they can swarm the field really fast and really good amounts, I would dare to give them a 3 out of 3 in that aspect. And since GOTTOMS is a thing, yeah. Now, comeback ability, well, there aren't many, in fact. Actually, most of the time it depends on top decking Soul Charge, which is, again, limited. But yeah, I mean, you could make an argument that PALOMURO is a combat card. Yeah, no, well, but it's still, I'll give it a 2 out of 3 since I'm feeling generous. Protection, well, I mean, Saber Hole is a thing, but that's more of a disruption card than protection. I mean, I didn't run into any cards that have decent amount of protection on them, so I'll give it a 1 out of 3 there. And as for the versatility, since they can swarm the field pretty damn fast and pretty good in huge numbers, they have access to a lot of link-focused decks, and they are a genuine threat nowadays if they open up well and they have decent builds, so I'll give them a 3 out of 3 in that aspect. X-Sabers are really interesting, and I really like Synchro Spammers and Swordsmanship, as I already mentioned, so yeah. I really like to see how they evolve from this point on, and how will they evolve without M-X-SABER Invoker. So yeah, if Invoker will actually leave the ban list, who knows? The future holds endless possibilities. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. If there's an update, comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next video whenever I can. See you all, have a good day, and peace.